Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. If it's Tuesday at 7 o'clock, this is where you need to be at. I come on right before the news and everything else. So, guys, if you joined, thank you so much for joining us today. We have Mr. Christopher, I call him Chris, Good, with the founder and CEO of Tip Top Scores. Some of you all, if you have worked with me, already know about Chris. Chris, guys, I don't know what Chris, he needs to be called the miracle worker because he really makes miracles happen. And before he gets started into his background, well, Chris, I'm going to let you do your background. Then I'm going to tell you some of the things that I've heard from other lenders and what you've done for my clients. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you don't mind, just kind of sharing a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Angie, for having me on. I definitely take this as an honor to be on live with you and, combining communities. So I got started with credit repair, I would say unofficially about 2015. Um, I started this company because I actually needed credit repair at the time. I got into real estate at a really young age. I was 18, really 19 years old, and my stepfather was knee deep in the real estate game. This was about 2006, 2007, like right before the real estate bubble popped. So I was
Okay.
able to get two houses in my name as, to me, a kid, at 19 years old, in school. He was kind of pulling the strings. Long story short, he passed away my junior year in college. And the advice that I took was not necessarily the best advice. A lot of the people around me were telling me that, hey, Chris, just put it out of sight, out of mind, focus on school. And in 7 years, this account would be gone from your credit report. So that's exactly what I did. I just kind of focused on school. I actually have a finance degree. I'm gonna say a couple years after I graduated, I got a random knock on the door from a sheriff telling me that I needed to come to court or they were gonna demolish my property. And I'm like, I didn't think I still had any property. I figured they foreclosed on both of them, but they did foreclose on one, but the other one they did leave to me. And so they told me I had a short period of time to, get the house back to a livable standard. And of course, being a college student, I was broke. I didn't have any resources available to, do those type of renovations. So I seeked out credit repair at the time. And there was this, and the guy that did my credit first, he's one of my mentors. We ended up, long story short again, we ended up getting my credit score up to about a 660. And I was able to get a loan large enough to get the property back into a inhabitable, status. And I still have that house to this day. So
Awesome.
what actually prompted me to start the business, I was a serial entrepreneur at the time, and I was in a barbershop, and a guy just walks in the barbershop and he's like, what would you guys rather have? Would you rather have $1 million cash, or would you rather have the perfect 850 credit score? So that question went around the room like, Angie, what would you take in that situation?
Oh, you put me on the spot. well, well, because I know you, I'll take $1 million because I know I got Chris to get everything I need to get squared away. But
Right,
I would
right,
love to know the
absolutely.
answer of what it was. He probably stated because with the 850 it gives you access to that too as well. And so,
Right.
but yes, what was the answer to it?
So my answer was the same as yours at the time. And I struggle with that question to this day because at the time when he asked that question, my credit score had went up to a 750. So I take $1 million in a 750 all day long. When you ask that question, you're assuming I have bad credit. But it was really interesting to see the answers that people had going around the room. And a lot of people chose the credit score. And I'm like, well, this guy just fixed my credit in like a very short period of time. So this is actually a need that people have. And, so I started to self-educate and ended up running into another mentor. And he gave me some game that changed my life. With having multiple streams of income at that time, he told me like, you got to focus on one thing. You can't be the best at all of these things, you know. So you know, kind of going tunnel vision on the credit repair aspect. I haven't looked back since. I left a lot of money on the table with all of those other investments that I had at the time. And I just kind of, you know, fast forward, we're here 6-7 years later, and here we are.
That's awesome. And you know, you're right. I had that same discussion when I started because when you're talented, like how you are, people see that talent and they want to pull you into different ways. And it's so easy to get caught up in wanting to do different things. But you're right. You become a master at a skill, and it seems like it'll go ahead and provide the way that it needs to. And that's exactly what it's doing for you. And I'm glad that you chose the revenue of what you're doing as far as your credit repair, because guys, if you've been following along this Tuesday Tune In, and you know me, you know that my background is in foreclosures. You know, I actually worked for a law firm for 7 years dealing with loss mitigation. And that's why I got into this field, to help people that's going through short sales, foreclosures, that's had due diligence. And the gentleman to my right, he has literally helped those clients get back into homes. I've literally had numerous lenders ask me, who is this and what is he doing? And I'm talking about from we had each other, how many years? It's been about 4 or 5 years, correct? It's been a couple of years. And not only that, even till up to this day, he recently got a client that I sent over, scored over 100 points. To whereas the same lender, not the same, a different lender was like, Angelina, because they had to repull. What did she do? Or what did he do? I'm like, well, I sent him to my person, Chris. That's what I did. And guys, you know, I know you see a lot of people that do credit repair, but you want people who knows the laws about credit repair. And that's one thing I appreciate about you, Chris, is that you truly know the laws and how credit works, to where it's not okay, Angelina, you need to get something in 30 days because we don't know what's going to show. It's when it's done, it is done. I literally had somebody going through the short sale process and they got the house at the same time. I still don't know. And the lender was like, and we never saw it on there. The lender was like, Angelina, who is this person again? I was like, hey, this is my person. This is his contact. You know, and that person's in that house, and that's all thanks to you and how you assist. And another thing I want to say, and we're going to get started, guys, on your questions. But another thing, guys, that I appreciate about Chris is that when you reach out to him, he gets back in touch with you. I really appreciate that, because when we have a communication system that we put our clients through. It's not Angelina, I never heard from Chris. It's, oh, they called me the same day, or either they called them the next day. And we just got this on here. Chris, look, this is from Nisi. She says, Chris is the real deal. Exactly. He is the real deal. You're going to probably some of your clients on here that's like, yes. And so, guys, I thought it was very important to get him on here, because what we're seeing nowadays, you know, guys, we're heading into something that's very important that people don't realize. You know, you probably see my sticker. If you don't see my sticker, there's my sticker. I voted today. And if you have not voted today yet, please make sure you go and vote. Okay, guys? And here's the reason why. You never, and this is something you probably heard me talk about. When you get people into the office, we never know what the policies are going to be. We never know how they're going to change directions in regards to the qualifications when it comes to lenders. And one of the main things that you really need, a lot of people are barking about interest rates, but guess what affects your interest rates? Your credit score. Your credit score will affect your interest rate. Now, can I get you in a house with 500? I sure can. Can I get you in a house with no credit score? I can. But if you're wanting to qualify for the best rates, along with down payment assistance, along with any other incentives that could be able to happen, builders incentives, then you really want to go through and get with someone like Christopher to be able to assist you. Oh, and also the person who put the quote up saying that you is the real deal, that's Venice. She said you don't know her as Nisi, but that's Venice.
Right, absolutely. Well, I recognize the
and
last name. You know, I get government names.
so, and so we really just wanted to get him on. So, and I'll have his information at the end, like I always do. We are live. If you have any questions, we are here. We have Chris. I'm telling you guys, he is the bomb. If you got your questions, you need to go ahead and ask them. But Chris, you kind of went into the details of what, how you got into this. But can you be able to share, kind of tell us how your your credit score impacts you, not just when it comes to buying a home, but into other things?
Absolutely. Your credit score, I think it's probably the most important number, especially if you stay in this country. It definitely impacts the price that you pay for everything that you do. There's people that live in the same neighborhood, they have the same exact house, cookie cutter, nothing different about it, but one person is paying 3 times more than the other person. Same thing with car insurance. That was one major piece that kind of blew my mind when I first got my credit repaired. My car insurance rate went from like almost $200 a month down to like $29 a month. And it's just it gives a major advantage when you look across the board at how the perks of having good credit. I probably get a free tank of gas every month. And I think that that's substantial because over time, I mean, it might be small, but over time, it definitely gives us an advantage because we have funds to put in other places and other investments because we're not being charged, the maximum amount someone can charge you. And that's pretty much what credit is in this country. It's somewhat of a trap. And I preach it that way just to make sure that you are aware that it's not free money. They're not putting that money in your pocket to make you rich. They're putting that money in your pocket to get interest. So we give a lot of counseling on the financial management side of things beyond removing the negative accounts from your credit report. And I do think that that's important, and that's one thing that sets our company apart from a lot of the competition in the people that claim that they do credit repair. I think that that's one major reason why our clients are remotely successful, why they're so successful coming through this process, because they have a clear understanding of what they need to do during the process. But yeah, so it does give you lower interest rates. It will give you better loan terms. You have increased borrowing power, and you get faster approvals. The higher your credit score is, the more these lenders feel like you're not a risk to do business with, and in turn, they don't put you through the ringer like they put the majority of the population.
You're right. Like I was stating before, I can be able to get home loans for people with those lower scores, but it is really what you're saying. They're asking for everything except for your blood type and your firstborn to get it done. And so if you're on this journey and if you're knowing that you want to get a home, or you're knowing, like you said, with car rates, car insurance, it affects also your homeowner's insurance. And it needs to just put on your jobs. Correct. It also affects your jobs. There are reasons they check your credit score with certain positions, to see, especially if you're dealing with, I remember, I want to say, and I may be wrong, but I want to say they checked in regards when I was working at AT&T, because if you have access to people's socials and their social security numbers, and their finances, they will check your credit score to see what your score is. And so you have to be prepared about that. And a lot of, we're going to get to this. I want to talk about the misconceptions that people have when it comes to credit. What are some of the things that you're seeing as the common misconceptions that people have when it comes to their credit score, or just about credit scores in general?
The misconceptions, that would typically be like people thinking that it's only the score, only the score is important. And that's not true. There are several factors that go into underwriters' decisions to approve you. Your job history, your job stability, your debt to income ratio, which it goes hand in hand with credit, because when we remove those negative accounts, your debt is removed from the credit report, or some of your debt is removed from the credit report. And that DTI definitely affects the amount of money that you can get approved for. I would say, paying off collection accounts. People think that paying off collection accounts is the way to fix their credit. And I preach never pay collection accounts, never pay charge off accounts. Even if you pay it, it's still not going to help your credit score. Those things are going to sit on your credit report as a paid or settled collection account, which still tells us the same exact thing. It tells us that you have a history of not paying your bills. And that's all anybody's looking for, to charge you a higher interest rate or just to deny doing business with you altogether. Another one I think would be, closing old accounts. I had some people come to me and they want to delete all the old accounts off the credit report. Why is that still on there? This account is paid off. We need to delete that. I'm like, no. Do not delete your closed old accounts, because those are your trophies. Those are the things that people are looking at to see your history of paying things on time and being able to maintain and uphold your end of the bargain. So it definitely gives lenders confidence in doing business with you when they can see that you've handled every single account properly that you've ever been in contact with. Another myth is, people think that co-signing doesn't affect their credit. Co-signing makes you equally responsible for the debt. So if this person doesn't pay it and you're like, well, it wasn't my car. Well, they don't care. You put your name on that dotted line. You're just as liable as the person that did not pay the bill. Another one I would say is you can only check your credit report once a year. And that's not true either. They are monitoring every time your credit report is accessed. There's a such thing as hard pulls and there's a such thing as soft pulls. You looking at your credit report and the way that we would look at your credit report when you come to us, it's going to be a soft pull. It does not negatively affect your credit score whatsoever. It's just you looking at your credit to see who and how much you owe. It's not like you're looking at your credit to see if you can borrow money. So other than that, I think that those are kind of some of the most common misconceptions that I could think of, that, people kind of come in with kind of backwards thought processes and also thinking that, they can do it themselves. And I would never insult anybody's intelligence and say that you can't do this yourself. But I will say that this is not about common sense. Common sense is a good guide in life, when you're trying to, just anything. But when it comes to this is not about common sense. This is about laws. It's about loopholes. It's about understanding your rights as a consumer and understanding the law bodies that are in place to protect you from companies that are looking to bury you.
And see, that's something that people don't think about. We'll have people that, and I'll give a prime example, that I'll send them to you and they're like, oh, well, Angie, I don't want to pay for it. I'm just going to do it myself. And it's like, okay, but the thing is, I don't think people realize how time consuming it is as well. If you don't know strategies like yourself to get this done. And guess what? I end up talking to those people in 3 to 6 months, and most of them are in the same boat. And guess what? What's that guy's name again? Can you send me back over to him again? And I'm like, sure. Let me go ahead. Chris, can you call this person? Because the thing is that, guys, my thing is, if you want it done right and if you want it done efficiently, which a lot of people, if they're wanting to get a home, they're not looking to wait a year, 2, 3 years. They want to get really in their home within 3 months if possible. Get with somebody like Chris, because they're going to you look at someone's account and it's done quickly. And so the person might have done it themselves. It might have taken a lot longer than what it than versus if you would have just done it and got it done. It would have taken a lot longer if they would have just went ahead and just did it themselves, tried to get a book, or say, oh, well, all I got to do is dispute. That's what everybody thinks. All I got to do is dispute. Guys, let me tell you what lenders are doing now. They have gotten hip to the dispute game. All right. So if you go to them and apply with a lot of disputes on your credit, guess what they're going to do? Have you remove the dispute so they see your real credit score. That's what they're doing now. And so therefore, you might think that, oh, okay, my score has gone up. I got disputes. That lender has caught up to that. They caught up to that trick. This is the reason why we need this gentleman to my right to be able to fix your credit properly and give you some true things of what needs to be done. Because like he says, laws, knowing the loopholes, those are the things that you're not just going to Experian, and other places and just hitting dispute, which is what some people are doing. Yeah. And and even now, like, what are your, with self, we're having a lot of lenders telling people, Angelina, tell them not to use self, because, now with adding, which I guess you can, but you just have to be careful with it, because you know how you can, with self, you can add on like your utility bills and things to kind of go to your credit report. Well, lenders are seeing kind of how that's kind of affecting people too now, because the thing is, with water bills, utility bills, sewer bill, a lot of times people don't pay that sewer bill right when it's due. Well, when you're dealing with those type of services, guess what? If you pay it late, what's going to happen is going to end your credit even more, which is why you really need to get a professional like Chris and his team. And he actually, guys, it's not just Chris. Chris has a team of that are very professional, and every last one of them knows what they're talking about, because I've spoken to them. They know exactly what you need to do, and they're very professional and courteous, and they are getting clients taken care of. Chris, I want to talk to you. I want to piggyback off of what you said about people not wanting to check your scores. Guys, I promise you, your computer is not going to blow up. His computer is not going to blow up if you check your credit score. I have so many people, they either like, Angelina, I work with somebody, but I don't want you checking my score. Angelina, I know I need to work on my credit. I don't look at my score. Guys, you got to look at your score and allow him to look at your score so we can see what the issues are and what we can be able to do. Do you have that a lot? You did mention about how people are asking if it's going to be a hard pull or a soft pull. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was waiting on the question.
Well, yes, in regards to when you have people that are not wanting to pull their credit, what are some of the things that, of course, that you have the soft pulls? How many soft pulls can you be able to do? Is there a maximum limit to soft pulls when you're needing to view?
No, not at all. Not at all. You can check your credit score every day. It is calculated, though. They do keep track of the soft pulls. So some of you have probably come through our service, and when we send off our letters, you get a big, thick packet from Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. In the back of that packet, there is a section that says these inquiries do not affect your credit score whatsoever. So that's going to be every time that you've ever logged into Credit Karma, every time that you've logged into Experian.com or Identity IQ, any promotional inquiries of banks that are pulling your credit to see if they can pre-approve you for car loans or credit cards. You can literally reverse engineer some of those promotional inquiries that you have on there, because you might look in there and see Bank of America has looked at you 15 times in the last 2 months. It's like, why are y'all checking me every day like this? Let me pull up to y'all's front doorstep and see what y'all might have for me. And this is one way that you can kind of get to the people that are actually looking for you. So it's really good to analyze that credit report, so we can know exactly where you are, so we can plot that roadmap to get you to your goal. Any goal that you come to us with, we are looking to accomplish that goal. It doesn't generally take us long to do anything if we both focus. It's a team effort. So we definitely have to review those credit reports, so that way if there is a mistake, and but it's a fact that 1 out of every 3 people have a mistake on their credit report. You're dealing with a lot of human resources that are not getting paid a lot of money to do data entry, and they might fat finger a extra letter into your name. They might mix you up with someone else. So it's very important that you are aware of these things. And I honestly think awareness is about 95% of this whole game. You can't really change anything until you're actually aware of what is negatively impacting your credit score, and also what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. So we break all of that down to make sure that there's a complete understanding of the responsibility of you hiring a credit repair company, as well as what you have to do throughout this process in order to see success.
And so kind of what the top tips that you guys use, that you're seeing or you recommend for people who are looking to improve their credit scores?
I would say the top tips Number one, check your credit. Find out what's going on. On your credit report. Of course, paying down your credit card balances. I think that that's the biggest piece because I believe that credit cards is what they use to see if you're broke or not. That's what they use to gauge your risk factor. High utilization is the probably one of the worst things that you can have beyond late payments on your credit report. So paying your credit cards down, and the comfortable ratio is 30%. 30% is good, 20% is great, and 10% is excellent. So the lower you keep the balance on your credit card, the more points these cards produce for you every single month. Now, when it's over 30%, at 31%, these cards go neutral. They're not helping you at all. They're not hurting you until you get to 60%. So at 60% and above, you're basically telling us or telling the banks that you are living beyond your means. You're basically telling us that it's a risk to do business with you. In layman terms, you look broke on paper and you don't want to appear broke asking for more money. So I think the utilization is a major piece, and even more major than the utilization rate is your statement day, because the statement date is the only day that matters when it comes to the utilization on your credit cards. That's when they calculate the number that you see on your credit report. So I have several people that come into my office or we have a phone call and I tell them like, hey, your Capital One card is maxed out. And they say, oh, no, it's not. I paid that off 2 days ago. Well, when they came and checked your credit report on the statement day, your card was maxed out. So you got to find out what the statement date is on every single one of the credit cards that you have. And the statement date is not the due date. Those are two completely separate days. So I always tell people it's 4 questions that I ask, or they're rhetorical questions, but this is to raise your awareness about, managing the credit card. So number one is, what is the due date? So, and the best person to ask these questions is the number on the back of your card. So what's the due date? And if you don't have these cards set up on auto pay, I'm going to strongly suggest that you set them up on auto pay for at least the minimum payment. So that way, if you have a crazy month and you forget, you didn't forget because you made precautions to have these bills taken care of in the event that it was kind of crazy for you. Number 2, what is my statement day? Now, I ask those questions back to back so that way you can clearly hear the customer service rep give you 2 completely separate days. And usually the statement date is about maybe 3 or 4 days after your due date. Now, it's different for every single company. So that's why I say call them so that way you can find out. So, and they set it up like that because most people fall for, hey, I got to pay this card off by the 3rd, but you don't know that they're coming on the 8th to take a snapshot of your account and report it to the credit bureaus. So usually people pay those cards off, and then the very next day, the thought process when they're walking through Walmart is, oh, I just paid this card off yesterday. I got money on this card. I can go ahead and use this card. And then they catch you holding the money. So that's the name of this game, is don't get caught holding the money. It's almost like that game, red light, green light. I don't know if y'all played that as a kid, but when the person turns around, you take off running, and as soon as they turn around, you got to freeze. So the day that you got to freeze is your statement date, and whatever you're caught holding is what you're being taxed interest on. The interest rate is applied on your statement day. So that's the day that your creditors get paid. So they definitely don't want to tell you that, because if you find out that that's when they're getting paid and you clear that balance off the day before, or how many ever days it takes for your payment to process before your statement day, they lose a lot of money when people pay their cards off, because all you're doing is paying back what you borrowed. And that's what we kind of teach people how to do. Now, the third question is, how long does it take for your payments to reflect on the account as paid on time or paid down? So some companies, it's instant. I have an American Express card. As soon as I put the money on it, it's right there. It's instant. There are some companies that take 48 hours to post your payment. There are some companies that take 10 days to post your payment. And if you want to pay it early, you have to pay a little penalty. Now, you don't run into those type of terms unless you're dealing with low tier credit cards. And the last question is, what does it take to get a credit line increase? Now, that question can be interchangeable with basically, how do I grow within your company? How do I get up the ladder? Every 6 months that you pay your bills on time, you deserve to be rewarded. And the way you reward yourself is by getting access to more capital, getting credit line increases on the current cards that you already have, as well as getting access to new cards and having new relationships opened because you have a good example for them to look at. You got low utilization, you paid it on time, they'll let you in the door with ease. So that's definitely one of the major tips. Another one would be disputing the inaccurate information from your credit report. If you look through every line of your credit report, you may see several AKAs, a bunch of different names that you never went by. You might even see your children's name listed in your AKA section. So that stuff needs to be cleared up, because those accounts that are coming from those other people could be merged into your credit profile. The addresses, having several addresses on your credit report, that needs to be cleared up. It is because it basically shows your stability. If you move every single year, you don't look stable. If you have a bunch of AKAs on your credit report as far as your name, let's say you met me at a gas station and I told you my name was James. And then when you saw me at church talking to somebody, they called me Chris. And you're like, hold on, is that guy's name James or Chris? And it just makes you think of, it just makes you think, is this person trustworthy or not? Because they just tried to trick me with their name. So beyond that, negotiating with creditors. Now, I'm not a big fan of negotiating with creditors. If these accounts are negative, I would suggest that we have those accounts deleted. But if you don't have the time to go through a dispute process, then, calling these companies and negotiating is going to be one of your best, bets as well, because, there's several companies that will remove these accounts from your credit report or remove the inaccuracies from your credit report in exchange for payment in full. Or in some cases, you can negotiate a settlement to a third of what you actually owe. There's a lot of attorneys that do that do that on your behalf. They'll negotiate, and anything that they get this thing down to, any money that you put into that escrow account, they keep the reserves there. So negotiating with creditors is kind of a risky one, because you are going on record, you are claiming the debt. But if you are going to do that, I would strongly suggest that you get every single detail of that conversation in writing, and make sure that you have a letterhead from that company explaining exactly how much you owe, what they're willing to accept in exchange for deleting these accounts from your credit profile. Now, I did get some advice from a lawyer a while back, and he said you can pay these creditors with a check. And in the memo section, write for deletion of this account. So if they cash that check, it's as good as a contract. So that's one. Becoming an authorized user. That's another tip that I give a lot of people from day one. Authorized user trade lines is like the best thing since oxygen, because you can literally buy an 800 credit score. It's just about putting accounts on your credit report that are older than the ones that you currently have. Of course, if the card is not in good standing, then of course you receive the negative benefits from that as well. So if this card is maxed out, you didn't get anything that's positively helping your credit score. You actually just inherited a bunch of debt. So you got to be really careful about who and when you attach yourself to people, and they have to understand that their moves affect you. So, the authorized user trade lines, of course, the older the account, the better, the higher the impact it's going to have on your credit score. And if you have to pay for one, it's usually going to be more expensive. And on the flip side of that, the limit on the card, if the limit is very high, it's going to have a high impact on your credit position. And it also usually is going to be more expensive. So if I had to choose between history and limit, I would always choose history. I'd rather have $1,000 credit card added to my report that has been open for 20 years versus adding a $20,000 credit card to my credit report that was opened yesterday. Because every account that you add to your credit report also is going to it's going to average in with your average credit age. When you get new cards, those new cards are 0 years old. And this is why some lenders, some realtors don't like when you add new credit cards to your credit report, especially when you are in the home buying process. But I know we do suggest that in some cases. So we will give you exquisite instruction on how to manage that account to make sure that it's actually a benefit to you and not something that's actually impacting you negative. And the last one I would say would probably be requesting credit line increases. It's all about trends. A trend is not just 1 month. Everybody can pay their bills on time, one time. But the question is, how long can you do it? How long can you hold that pose? So every 3 months is considered a trend. Every 6 months, if you get the 6 months of paid on time, paid as agreed, and that utilization rate stayed low, it's time to advance you. It's time to get, access to more money. So I'm always going to encourage you to expand your credit lines, especially the existing ones that you have. I'm not telling you to spend the money. Let's be clear about why I'm telling you to get access to the money. I'm not telling you to get the money so you can go on a shopping spree. I'm telling you to get the money so that way the balances that you already have on your other credit cards, the utilization rate is going to go lower. When you add new cards, it does the same thing as you paying credit cards down. So I guess those would be, some of my off top of my head, top tips that I could give somebody to help them, along their journey.
That's some awesome tips. And I don't know if you can see that I've been putting kind of like the taglines of what you've been saying. I just put the one, increase the limits, but do not spend the money, guys. Do not spend it. Because I'll have people where you'll go and fix their credit and they're like, Angelina, I went and bought a car. I'm like, no, you're supposed to get the house. You're supposed to get the house. Right. Because people don't realize when you're talking about the utilization and all of those things, how it can affect in each situation. And guys, this is another reason why if you haven't heard enough of the reason why you need to be contacting Tip Top Scores, this is just a fraction of the information and education that Chris provides to us and provides to you. And will provide to you, excuse me. It's more than just knowing what to do, but how to do it and having access. And guys, not only does he deal with the residential part of your person, he also deals with your business. So you just get a one-stop shop with Chris, and the information is just so, like, I'm learning, even though we've spoken on numerous times, I'm learning new stuff on this Tuesday just from him giving his top tips in regards to what to do. Now, Chris, in regards to with people who do have the poor or damaged credit, what are the things they need to focus on first? I know you gave us out of those top, what's the first thing that people need to do when it's coming to their credit history that they need to focus on first?
I would say establishing a payment plan. Of course, consistency is the key. Start by making a plan to pay off any overdue bills or past due accounts. If you can make the minimum payments, it's crucial to demonstrate regular on-time payments to rebuild trust with those creditors. Of course, you want to address the high impact negative items. Those high impact negative items like collection accounts, charged off accounts, and of course, late payments. Work on resolving these by, either negotiating with the creditor or disputing those inaccuracies. And I just generally tell people not to pay those collection accounts because it's a third party company. You've never signed an agreement with them. You've never, agreed to pay them any amount of money. If they try to take you to court, the judge is going to ask them, hey, what can you do? What can you show me to prove that Angela was going to pay you? And if they can't produce that, then the case is dismissed. You never have an agreement. It's like somebody buttoning your business and paying your bill. That's like me coming over your house and you look out the window like, who is this guy here cutting my grass? And I got you lined up and I'll come knock on the door. Hey, that's going to be $250. You're like, hold on, sir. I didn't ask you to come cut my grass. So I'm not paying you anything, but thank you. It does look good, but I'm not paying you for this. So it's kind of the same thing. So I would say building positive credit. I'm not a big fan of secured credit cards. Anything secured typically means that they don't trust you. So I wouldn't willingly tell you to add something to your credit report that signals mistrust. Now, I'm not going to dump on secured cards like they don't work, but I will say that is your way of starting from the bottom. There are several other options out there that you can become a part of. And it's just all about being realistic with yourself and knowing where you are. There's levels to this credit game. You can't just come in the game and get a American Express Platinum card and you've never had, a $300 credit card, and I wouldn't suggest doing that anyway, because it's a learning curve to dealing with charge cards. So of course, building positive credit, and we have some go-tos for people for people on any part of the spectrum, whether you got a 300 credit score, whether you don't have no credit at all, you've been locked up for years and nothing is on your credit at all, I can show you how to build it up. I can show you how to maintain it, and I can show you how to elevate. Every time that we have a conversation, it should be elevation, you know. So other than that, it's just maintaining low credit utilization. You know, that's what's going to actually build your points over time is low utilization. And like we told you earlier about the statement day, that's the only day that matters. They don't care about when you get paid. It's not about when you get paid. It's about when they told you they were coming to check the account. It's almost like inspection day. Like OSHA's coming to your business. You have a kitchen that you're trying to open up a restaurant, and they're coming to inspect your kitchen. So if they're coming to inspect your kitchen tomorrow, what are you doing tonight? You're making sure that everything is clean. You're making sure that there's no crumbs behind the refrigerator. Everything is in place. So that way, when they come and inspect your account, they give you a check mark. You can open up for business. And if you are in a position of financial distress, guess what? The money didn't go anywhere. It's right there on your credit card. So you can go back on that credit card the day after the statement day and get all that money back. You just have to make sure you have it back before the next statement day. And that's how you kind of start this cycle. Now, we could teach strategies about robbing Peter to pay Paul in terms of doing balance transfers to other cards. Let these cards hit on your statement day. And then on the next statement day, you push that balance back over to this one. And now you can literally hide about 60% of your overall credit utilization if you have about 3 cards. So I think that those are, some tips that I would focus on if I had poor credit. I would start with those things first. Getting something positive on the credit report and trying my best to get rid of anything that's negatively impacting my score. Anything that says you don't pay or slow pay.
Now, in regards to things, what are some myths that people do that's hurting them when it comes to their credit? Which you probably have seen a lot of this, that they're thinking, this is what I'm supposed to do because this is what my mom told me, or my auntie told me, or my uncle told me, or my best friend did it this way, and they were able to get X, Y, and Z. And now you have a lot of YouTubers that are out there as well, that might have done something that worked for them, and they're putting, information out. What are some of the myths that people just really need to just stay away? What's your top myth that people need to stay away from in regards to that can hurt them?
Filing bankruptcy. I know that that's a touchy one because it does provide immediate relief. But if you look at how some of the bigger players play bankruptcy, like Donald Trump, for instance, he'll go and get a $50 million building and he'll file bankruptcy on it. And now he has a free $50 million building. Some of us, we might get into some credit card debt or some loan debt. And of course, I would just let those accounts charge off because I know somebody like Chris at Tip Top Scores. You can have those accounts removed from your credit profile instead of putting a stain on your back that's going to last anywhere from 7 to 12 years, depending on which chapter you file of bankruptcy. It's like a stain that won't go away. It becomes substantially harder to obtain funding for pretty much anything. So that's one of the big ones. And I hear that a whole lot. Oh, I'm just going to file bankruptcy. I'm like, do you not know that is hurting you more than anything? Yeah, you don't have to pay that payment next month, but you can forget asking for anything over the next couple of years unless you want to pay through the nose in interest. I would only suggest filing it if they're trying to take something from you that's major. If they're trying to take your house from you, if they're trying to take some commercial real estate that your grandparents left, if there's a family farm, or if there's something substantial like a yacht that you own and they're trying to take it from you, I think that those things are worth filing bankruptcy, but definitely not for credit card debt or loan debt. Another one, and I said this earlier, and it's about closing old accounts. It's a lot of people that, they get, new credit cards and they want to close out the first card that they had because it has a high interest rate or it may be charging you a small little monthly fee. But when you close that card, it does actually hurt you because it lowers your credit age. You lose all the history that that's associated with that account. Of course, and earlier I said paying off collections. People think that paying collections off is going to erase it from their credit report, and it doesn't. It just stays on your credit report as a paid or settled collection account. And in reality, what you just did was you reset the time frame that they can keep that account on your credit report for 7 more years from the date that you make that payment. Now, I'm not going to say that it's impossible to remove those accounts, but it becomes substantially harder to remove those accounts. And, you know, even with somebody as experienced as myself, if I see that on your credit report, I'd be willing to bet you that this is going to be the last account that falls. Beyond that, I would say, yeah, I mean, those will probably be my best tips. I don't want to keep being redundant about
Oh, no,
my
you're
my
fine.
my.
Well, you know, and those are the things that, like you said, people don't think about. They just automatically thinking that they're just, okay, I got my credit report. Let me just start automatically. Because if you don't know, you would automatically think, oh, let me get rid of this closure. Or, well, let me try to call to settle this. Or let me just go ahead and pay this off. Because we'll have people, when we talk to them, they're like, well, Angelina, I want to get started, but I need to pay some accounts off first. And I immediately tell them, before you pay the accounts off, you, first of all, let's the lender, because guys, if you don't have over $1,000 worth of collection items, the lender's not going to even worry about it. Okay, so they're not going to worry about it. And so you have people who want to spend that money, and it's like, hey, before you do that, before you think you need to pay off stuff on your credit card, or before you think you need to do this, I tell them now, depending on where they're at score wise, if the lender's like, hey, they got to work on it, I immediately just invest in getting someone such as yourself, Chris, to be able to assist them in these things. Because it's like you said, there's so many loopholes in laws, from due dates to statement dates. And guys, when he's telling you that he'll come up with an action plan, he will come up with the action plan for you to do. And I'm not telling you things that he's reading on the script. I'm telling you from people, numerous clients, numerous family members, people who have utilized Chris over the years, and I've seen what he's been able to do, which is why I really want him to come on, because guys, we're going to the end of the year. People are going to start charging up those cars, Chris. And,
Right, absolutely.
and I want to ask you in regard to, I don't know if you're able to ask you, I'm thinking about this as we're talking, how around the end of the year they give you this payment. How does that affect you? Can you elaborate, or do you know how that affects accounts when you have credit cards? Like if you're with someone like, you know, banks that you may have cards with, and they're like, hey, well, you can skip this payment for this. How does that, how are you looked upon when you do that?
I mean, the same way that you're looked at if you don't make the payment. I mean, it's, you know, you're not getting prestige by delaying or putting payments on the back end. And I have seen people put a few payments on the back end, and as soon as the loan is matured, they have to pay all of that money that they put on the back end at the same time, or they can repossess what you had. You know, it's just, another one I see is, you know, people getting those zero interest deals from these retailers. If you exceed that zero interest time frame that they give you, you're going to pay all of the interest that you would have paid had you been paying it, you know, had they been charging you interest for the full year. So they're going to throw all of that on the top of that bill right at the end, or right when that time frame expires. I preach to all of my clients right at the end of the year, because this is the biggest time of year where people go for broke, buying everything under the sun that doesn't make them money. You know, you spending all your money in your whole bank account for toys that people are not going to play with in 3 weeks. You know, so this is one thing that we can kind of dodge, because they have these holidays set up in a certain way to where it kind of keeps you on a treadmill. You know, and most people feel comfort in paying all that money out right before Christmas, because they're thinking about their tax checks coming in a couple of months. So, oh, I can pay this down before, you know, when my taxes come. So what happens if you don't get a tax check this year? Then what? You know, so these are things that, you know, we really have to, you know, be very, very careful, especially right now in this economy, especially with it being an election year. And this thing can swing either way, you know. So I just think that everybody should be prepared. And I just don't think that this is the year to just splurge your money on things that don't produce income for you.
And you're right, like we stated at the beginning. And guys, you know, if you have questions for Chris, this is live. You're able to put your questions in the comment section, and I can be able to see it. And Chris, we did have some people saying that, hey, this is amazing information. I'm not able to share comments on the Instagram side, but I am monitoring both of them, just to let you know. And you're so right. Going back to when you're talking about policies, people don't realize sometimes people only think about what they see on television as far as, okay, was the determination between this candidate, this law, this. Guys, you have a slew of people that's going in there and they're making and determining these policies of how they're going to read credit. Think about how we're having the big thing about in regards to rewards on credit cards. That's policy. Certain things dealing with lenders and credit plays a big part in that. And sometimes it doesn't. And you got some people and that's something else I want to talk to you about. To all my I'll just pay cash for it people. It's not one of the questions I sent to you. But for the people who are afraid to get credit or afraid to have credit in name, do you have any advice to people who are just like, I'll just pay cash. I don't deal with credit. I don't want anybody to pull my social. I'll just pull the cash out. How do you deal with people that just have that mindset of cash only, not dealing with credit?
Well, I think that it's kind of sad that, and I can understand why they have developed that thought process, because anytime that they've tried to get credit, they've been told no, and nobody is educating them on how to get and obtain credit. It's not taught in any school anywhere. I actually have a finance degree, and they brushed on credit. I'm talking about maybe one day out of a 4-year degree. We talked about credit for one day. And that's the major piece that determines, people's expenses. So I think anybody that's coming cash heavy, definitely cash is one of those things that's irreplaceable. It can get you through some doors that regardless of what your credit score is, if you have the money, they want to get beside the money. But you're going to end up being treated like money, meaning that you're going to have to come up off of more of it in order to do the things that you're doing. And I just don't suggest cashing out on everything. Some things should be financed so you can keep yourself liquid and you can keep yourself in a space where you can make other investments. And I just always tell people that kind of neglect this subject, I appreciate your sacrifice, simply because in order for me and my friends and family to pay less, somebody has to pay more. That's the only way that this pyramid or this, this country, this corporation, that's the way that it works. Somebody pays more so someone can pay less. So if you're the cash out guy, hey, I salute you, and I definitely appreciate your sacrifice.
I had a broker years ago, and I really appreciated a lot of the things she shared, because she talked about kind of exactly what you're saying as far as how you utilize credit to help build what you're trying to do. There's so many things that people don't realize what you could be able to do as far as with building your portfolio, building wealth, your collateral, that cash can, but the credit also assists in that too as well. And I always, whenever my husband and I, we speak to you, and even with clients, like when we're talking about things, the education that you just give and just how you think outside the box, because we're not taught this. My daughter, I have 3 children, and one of them's a sophomore. She does have a finance class. She's the first one. Now she's the middle baby to take a finance class. My son, the oldest, wasn't, they didn't give one to him, but she is in one. But still, they are talking about debt to income ratio, how to write checks, things of that nature, but they're still not touching on, like how you state, as far as what credit is and how it is beneficial for families and what you could be able to do. And guys, if you don't think that you're looked upon differently when it comes to credit, we are. You can have the same amount of money, you could be making the same, but those credit scores will definitely have one person paying a different tier than the other. And so it's just really good, guys, if you have some issues that even if you don't have issues, you just want to learn more how to utilize credit. Chris has given us a lot of great information, whether you have a 600 to a 700 or 800, of what you could do to maximize out and learn how to get into this credit game. Chris, and we're having a lot of people don't have questions. They're ready for me to put your information up, is what they're ready for me to do. So guys, I'm going to send Chris's information. So guys, I'm going to put Chris's information. Chris, I'm going to allow you to talk about this flyer because it has the promos that you have and everything here. Do you mind just sharing this right quickly for people? I'm going to put it on now. If that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Are you able to see
Okay.
it on your end, Chris? Okay.
Yes, yes, I can see the flyer. So yeah, this flyer just basically kind of gives you a rundown of the type of things that we can help you with as far as removing from your credit profile. Not only that, it gives you our contact information as well as our website and Instagram and Facebook handles. Now, the price of our service is normally $300 to start, and it's $150 every 40 days. But during the month of November, we're going to be offering some promotions. So instead of just doing a Black Friday or a Cyber Monday deal, which we will have deals on those days too, we're doing a Black November.
Oh,
So if you don't have the money ready to go on that one day, you got a whole month to get yourself together to start building your credit report. We can definitely do a consultation. The consultation is free. We don't charge anything to walk through your credit report and show you the negative items, the things that say you don't pay your bills or slow pay your bills, and also to give you some suggestions. And we provide suggestions at every level of this process as you do your homework. Basically, our relationship is like a team. On this team, I play defense. On this team, you play offense, which means you're responsible for all of the points. Deleting these things that you see on that flyer, none of that stuff is going to score you points. The only way you can score points is by managing positive accounts, having accounts on a report that says you are paying your bills on time every month consistently, and that you're managing your accounts in a way, excuse me, that doesn't look like you're in financial distress. The more positives we have on the report, the faster we're able to move. So if you are looking to improve your credit score, whether it's to purchase a home or whether it's to purchase a car or refinance the things that you currently have, get access to capital, or even start a business, which is our other company, Tip Top Business Consultants. We have a full blueprint on the business side where we can help you establish your business. And the way that we analyze your business, or who we're comparing your business to, is the bank itself. So that's who the banks like to give money to, the people that look like them. So our blueprint will show you every single piece, and it's about 126 different pieces that we offer on the business side that helps you to get flying colors for approvals. And the credit repair side is world class. We do have a team full of people here that can assist you. So if you can't get me directly, please trust my team. Please, you can utilize them as much as possible, as well as even ask them to give me a message to call you. And I would love to talk and connect with each and every one of you. I do have a personal relationship with every single one of our clients. And like I said, I think that that's one thing that kind of, sets us apart from a lot of our competition. So definitely jump in. If you're looking to do something sooner than later, the month of November is the one you want to remember.
all right. And guys, I didn't even know that he was having a promotion coming on in November. So this was perfect. So guys, if you heard he has a promotion in November, I have his phone number there for your free consultation and also the flyer. Guys, as you always know, if you need any part of this, you can be able to catch it back on Deals with Angie on the YouTube page. But go ahead and take a snapshot of this right now. And guys, as I always tell people, a lot of times people reach out, well, do I have to be your client, Angeline, to reach out to these vendors? No, you do not. I wanted to bring this out because we're all about making sure that the masses gets this information. We want everybody to be prepared going to this next year. Like he said, if you want to purchase a home, put cars, get yourself a better financial situation, be able to teach your children. A lot of the things that Chris on here, guys, I've also taught that to my own children. And we're implementing those things so that way now we have a generational wealth of being built with our children, not having to worry about credit, not having to build their credit up. They're automatically having these things. Guys, please contact Chris today. Well, can they contact you today? Send them a text.
They can. I got a few people still here in the office on the clock. So
you got people in his office, so you probably can't call him right now. But if not, like you said, he's very good at reaching back out. There's never been a moment I haven't reached out to Chris or any of my clients. And guys, I send my family to Chris. So I'm not just know. And we did have someone that said, oh, we have people saying thank you for all the information. God, Chris, is there anything I could keep you here? And I'm trying my best. I'm looking at the time to make sure that I'm respecting your time because you have so much information. And as you see, I'm excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta have him back. Is there anything else you would like to leave with people? We have the promotion that's going on for November, guys, Black Friday. We have this contact information. Is there anything else that you would like to leave as far as with that you would like to just share? Or it could be
so
calling
I guess if it's one thing I would say that you need to remember is that your credit is in your hands. You know, take control of it. Small, consistent actions like paying bills on time, you know, keeping your balances low, checking your credit report regularly. It can make a huge difference over time. Don't be discouraged by setbacks or mistakes. Credit isn't just a number. It's a reflection of your financial habits. So start building those strong habits today and your score will follow.
Awesome. Awesome. Chris, I thank you so very much for your time today and just carving out. I just really appreciate it. I thank you also for everything that you're doing for people, how you're educating masses. Guys, Chris, I saw some nice video snippets too that you give as far as with information, education as well. Guys, go to tiptopscores.com. Please reach out to Chris. His team is wonderful. I have spoken to a lot of people on his team. Like he said, they're an extension of him. They are professional. They have this game locked. They are truly professionals and pioneers in this. They are experienced. They have knowledge. They have everything that you need to build what it is you're trying to do. If your credit is stopping you from doing anything, you need to call him tonight or tomorrow. Okay, call him tomorrow. Absolutely. If your credit is stopping you from anything, call him now. Don't put it off. You not looking to because a lot of people think they don't look at their credit, that the problem is going to go away. The problem is not going to go away, guys, until you, like he says, he can give you all the tools in the world, but if you take that first step and reach out to him and get it started. Chris, just want to let you know, we got some people that's saying thank you. We got hearts going on. If everybody's saying thank you for the information, thank you all so much. Guys, I thank you all so much for staying on and joining us as always. Chris, you have an open invitation to come back whenever you would like to. If you have time at the beginning of the year to come back, I would love to have you. If you want to come back, it's an open invitation for you to come back whenever you want to. You know, you have certain promotions and things you would like to talk about, please just reach out to me and I will get you on. Guys, if you missed the beginning of this and you would like to go back, because Chris gave some really great information, please go to Deals with Angie YouTube page. You don't have to search all the way through our Facebook and Instagram. You can just go right to the Deals with Angie YouTube page. You can go straight to him. I have his flyer up so you can have his information, but I'm going to also put his contact information on here one more time so that way it's the last thing that everybody sees. As he stated,
put the website up there, Angie, so that way they can fill in the information tab and let us know that they came in with you. And I'm gonna do something extra special for anybody that signs up from this live. So if they're tagging Angie, we're gonna look out for you in a major way.
Tag in Angie. All right, guys, I'm gonna put this up here now. tiptopscores.com, correct? Just want to make sure I have
yes,
that.
ma'am. tiptopscores.com. Yep. So just fill out that information tab, and when you go to who sent you, just put Angie or Deals with Angie or Live with Angie, and I'll definitely make sure that you get that discount that we're going to offer.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you very much, guys. I don't know what else you need to see in regards to what Chris does, but please don't go ahead now. Go ahead now, Chris. I thank you so much for doing that. That's something that he's just chosen to do off his heart just now. Guys, please go in. He's truly someone that wants to help people. And if you all know me, you know I'm all about aligning people who have the same mindset that we're here to do our best to help people. And this is what him and his company does. Okay. All right, Chris, thank you again for your time today. I thank you so much. Please, guys, and thank you to your team too that's in the background that allowed you to come on, because they're probably on you for something. So thank you all for your patience. I just thank you again. Guys, thank you all for watching. And as always, we'll be here next Tuesday. Excuse me. No, we will not be here next Tuesday because next Tuesday is election day. Guys, go out and vote. Call Chris and then also get to them polls and vote, okay? All right. Thank you all so much. Y'all have a great one and a blessed one. We'll be back on the following Tuesday on November the 12th or the 11th. November the 11th is when we'll be back. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Angie.
Thank you. And I'm going to